There's been what I'm calling entryist rage going on lately, repeatedly, from different people. What this means is that a lot of Democratic Party entryists who like to frame themselves as like the acceptable limit of left-wing politics can't actually deal with arguments against what their ultimate goal is, which is just to funnel people into the Democratic Party, where any sort of anti-establishment, anti-systemic, pro-humanity energy that they have will then go to die. And they can't refute any arguments against this because it's obvious that that's precisely what happens every single time. They just don't really give a shit. They want to seem as if they are radical without actually advocating for anything that ultimately is anything more than vote Democrat. Oh no, the Democrat that we voted for is a Democrat rather than some sort of left-wing radical. Never could have seen that coming. Well, let's vote for the next Democrat. So when they are confronted with any sort of like argument against this, they literally scream in rage, I've noticed. They outright just yell as loud as they can, as if like just screaming makes them correct, I suppose. Now, what the smart ones do about this, like the Majority Report, for example, what they do about this is they just don't talk about it. They just never, ever even give any sort of lick to their viewers that there is some sort of alternative that you could do. Either that, or like they will pay lip service to it and say, no, that's just impossible, and then move on without actually making an argument. Maybe like once in a blue moon, Sam Cedar will like debate like a random unprepared caller who just happens to call in, but they will just not really allow themselves to be exposed to a situation where their ideology can be picked apart by someone who knows what they're talking about. Like Breaking Points will just never breach the issue at all and just present what they're doing as self-evidently correct. But then there are other guys who present themselves as actual like left-wing radicals who pretend to be left-wing radicals, and they have to be a bit more careful. The examples of this that I'm going to be using here, obviously Hasan Piker, but also Hasan Piker's waiting room, Mike from PA, who recently uploaded a great little video here called Annoying Chatter Unlocks Mike's Socialist Rage. I guess this was uploaded like it's a highlight or something. What the chatter said in the thumbnail. At Mike, do you see any worrying signs that Zoran is repeating the failed strategies of AOC, Bernie, and de Blasio? I certainly do. What a reasonable thing to ask. Let's see what his reaction to that is. Turn your volume down, guys.
I don't know if you noticed, but there's millions of people living on the street, you self-centered goon. The United States is menacing Venezuela with a war, you dipshit. We're supporting a goddamn genocide in Gaza, you asshole. And the only way to stop that is to seize state power of the United States of America. And yeah, it's going to take at least 3 years minimum. Can you get your shit together? I want to...
Okay, so there's all these bad things happening. And apparently the way that we stop them is we seize state power in the United States of America. And the way that we do that is we vote for the same Democratic Party entryists over and over again who aren't at all going to stop those things. Do you see the problem with that argument? It doesn't make sense because it's not designed to make sense. It's just replacing logic or any sort of real attempt to engage with what's being said with just screaming.
For a spontaneous social and political revolution to erupt on every American city. I want crowds flying 1,000 red flags streaming out onto the streets during a general strike. I want
this is what all of them say, right? Like, you say anything like, hey guys, maybe we should build an alternative. Maybe over the course of a long time, rather than doing this thing that clearly doesn't work for what you claim your political aims are, we should do something else. And their response is, what, you want a revolution tomorrow? You think we should all raise the red flag and get guns and go kill the cops and the police and the military and take over the government? Are you crazy? Because they can't actually deal with what anyone's saying. So all that they can do, because ultimately their goal, well, Mike from PA's goal, to be clear, is whatever Hasan Piker's goal is, right? Mike from PA is he's just there to like leech money from viewers who are like just looking for something to watch before Hasan Piker gets on. So he'll just be whatever Hasan Piker makes him, without any direct interaction from Hasan in the first place. But like, they can't deal with the argument, so they have to just strawman what you're saying out the fucking wazoo, right? You know, well, maybe you shouldn't just do Democratic Party entryism until the end of time. Maybe you should try to do literally anything else. Slowly over time, try to build up to something. Maybe. But no, they have to reframe what's being said as, what? You think that we should all just pick up our guns right now and go and fight the government in the streets? So the alternative is, you vote for the Democrats until the end of time, or you take your gun right now and you just go and start randomly shooting people, and there's literally nothing possible in between that. You might as well just fucking pick up a sign saying a better world is impossible. Because fundamentally, there's no real meaningful difference between your ideology and the ideology of the average neoliberal who believes precisely that. Like they argue, this is the only thing that's possible, so we have to keep doing it. But clearly, it's not actually possible because it doesn't work. And you haven't tried anything else, so I think the least that you could do is try something else. Because at least you haven't tried those things yet, so perhaps there's something there that you were missing, right? It makes sense. But the fact that they don't, I feel, reveals where they're really coming from. They don't want to try anything new. They are happy with the end result of what they're already doing, but they want to posture as more radical than they are. So the way that you do that is you pretend that, hey man, this isn't my end goal, but right now it's the only thing that we could ever possibly do, so we have to keep doing it over and over again. It sucks, but what else can you do? That's what they mean. That's the whole reason they do it. The other entryist rage of the week came from Hasan Piker, who accused a chatter of being CIA or FBI or some shit, very ironically I might add, in another yelling fit. It's very interesting how these people engage in yelling fits. They never do this with right-wingers, by the way. With right-wingers, they're like all laughs. They're like, no, let me argue against you. The second something that could potentially actually be challenging for them, like someone to their left shows up, it's nothing but screaming about how they're crazy or something. By the way, these people who scream like this, they call me crazy. I don't know if you've ever seen me screaming like they do, but I'm pretty sure I haven't. Or at least when I scream like that, I probably at least say things that are coherent and sensical rather than what they're saying. Here is a recent entryist rage from Hasan Piker upon being confronted with someone in his chat who was expressing slightly more radical political beliefs than him.
You, whatever movement you're a part of, you are destroying. Okay? Whatever fucking movement you have actually been a part of, you are actively undermining and destroying. You literally are born with a copy of the fucking CIA disruption manual. You, chatter. You. I am not a movement, exactly. But even though...
I want to note, by the way, Hasan Piker's fans posted this everywhere. They thought this was fucking awesome.
Oh, I'm not a movement and an entertainer nonetheless, you still treat this as though it is yet another opportunity for COINTELPRO. And it's not that you're getting paid by the fucking CIA. You're just doing it for fun.
So if you're against voting for the genocidal Democrats over and over and over and over and over again, you're a member of the CIA. You're a member of, you're doing COINTELPRO. Now this, for one, doesn't really make sense because recently he actually said the CIA and the FBI don't even need to do anything to the American left anymore when someone brought that up. So he just changes his opinion on the fly, I guess, whenever it's convenient. But it also doesn't make sense because, think for 2 seconds. If the FBI and the CIA wanted you to do something, wouldn't it be what he does? Wouldn't it be telling people to join the DSA and vote for the Democrats over and over again? And if they aren't already involved in that, then they wouldn't even need to do anything because of people like him and what he believes and what he advocates for, keeping people complacent, ensuring that the FBI and the CIA don't even need to lift a finger. What do you mean you think that the FBI and the CIA don't want you to do Democratic Party entryism? They love that. They fucking adore that. The reason why they were so active in the 60s and 70s precisely because people weren't doing just that and they wanted to stop it. The only movement that someone like this could destroy is a movement to elect the next entryist Democrat who's going to become nothing but a useful tool for the status quo the second they get elected. Which, yeah, more power to them. We should wreck that. We should wreck that shit. Fuck yes, please. Now, it's especially ironic that he could say this, given how close he is to power, wealth, and influence. Hasan Piker is basically a slightly less dumb Donald Trump. The way that they flipped Hasan to the Democrats is just by, praising him and giving him treats. Invites to important parties and celebrity shit, giving him profiles in the mainstream media, making him feel important. That's all that it took to de-radicalize Hasan Piker from saying America deserved 9/11 to saying vote Democrat, vote Democrat, vote Democrat. If you don't vote Democrat, you're CIA. All it took was some profiles in Vanity Fair. All it took was a couple of NYT op-eds, profiles in the New York Times, profiles in whatever other place, profiles in CNN. Make him feel important and he'll do whatever you want. But who's more likely to be CIA? This random chatter who's disappointed that a streamer that he likes does entryism rather than trying something different, who claims to be a radical, does nothing but Democratic Party entryism, or the guy who says that he works with the Democratic Party old guard?
Big Ten?
Yeah, no, for sure. I have had closed door private meetings with a lot of people that I never thought would desperately want to talk to someone like myself. People who have greater ambitions within the party structure, people who are representatives of the old guard, and obviously most of that conversation still centers around like, how do we reach these kids? You've seemingly been able to do this.
So Hasan Piker has connections with literally like the Democratic Party mainstream, the old guard he calls them, like the Hillary Clinton Biden wing of the Democratic Party. This guy is calling other people a federal agent. Don't throw stones in glass houses. You are so much closer to the US federal government than anyone else could ever be. Not just that, but recently something else regarding Hasan Piker came out. Guess who used to be a literal US federal government employee in the Department of Homeland Security on the Cicada project, which was like a data analysis project designed to help the Department of Homeland Security like surveil people worldwide.
I was in college. This is more of a confrontation story, but when I was in college, I was working on a program called Cicada with the Department of Homeland Security, the Command Control Interoperability Advanced Center of Advanced Data Analysis.
Wow,
and
you have some fancy-ass title.
Yeah, I know. It was like a mathematician, like a group of mathematicians, whatever. I'm not going to get too far into it, but I never told my boss, who was also my professor who wanted me to be on the program, that I was actually going to get up and confront kind of him and the team of math professors that are working with the government, that their website sucked, because that was kind of what we were like supposed to be doing. We were doing marketing and communications for that entire program, and I kind of he was very upset, but I had to like get up, and because he was talking about how like the website's fine, whatever, we need to shift our focus to other stuff, and I had to get up and literally be like, no, the website's not fine, and we did end up changing it, so that's good. But he wasn't too fond of that.
Do I think Hasan Piker is a federal agent? No. The thing is, Hasan Piker is so easy to pull to your side for them that they don't need to actually outright make him a Fed to make him do what he's doing. He's very Trumpian in that you just flatter him, you make him feel important, you make him feel like wanted by high society and stuff, and he'll do whatever it takes for him to retain that social status. That's what they did with him. But I will say, it's fucking rich for a literal former US federal government agent with direct ties to the mainstream Democratic Party, with direct ties to the entryist wing of the Democratic Party, with direct ties to wealth, fame, and power, who gets profiled in the mainstream media an incredibly suspicious amount, to call anyone else a Fed. Because, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory, isn't it? The reason why they rage like this when confronted with political beliefs that are more radical than theirs, yet they have like gloves on, like they're so nice, they engage easily with like the easy right-wing talking points, is because they are not as radical as they want their audience to perceive them as. And the only way to avoid possibly revealing that, I don't think their audience is even smart enough to notice this sort of thing, most of them at least. Like if they did try to engage, I don't think their audience would even really be smart enough to notice them arguing themselves into a corner and completely failing to deal with the rebuttals to their entryism. But some of them might. But the point is they want to avoid exposing their audience to like the actual arguments against their positions, because they want their audience to believe that they are already at the acceptable limit of what left-wing politics should be, and anyone further than them is just crazy, right? That's why Hasan calls me crazy. That's why his fans call me crazy. Even though I'm not the one literally fucking screaming in rage whenever I'm confronted with an opinion that I don't like he is. The reason for that is because they can't deal with what me and others have to say about their beliefs. So in lieu of that, they just try to do like screaming in rage, like, you're crazy. What, you think we should do the revolution tomorrow? You're insane. Whoa, we have to vote for the Democrat because that's the only possible alternative. Otherwise, well, the only possible alternative, right? There's nothing in between like literally doing the October Revolution tomorrow and voting for fucking Bernie Sanders again, right? That's what they want you to believe. And obviously that's not true. So they have to strawman what you're saying and just fucking scream over you in what can only be described as a tantrum. I'm coining the term here, entryist rage. You're going to be seeing a lot more of it from these types, because fundamentally, they cannot maintain the aesthetic of radicalism that they so like to project while actually engaging with those further to their left.